Hello, and welcome to Assistant Elections, where today I'm going to be looking at the polling data coming across the country in the battleground states and President Trump's approval rating. And essentially, I'm going to be looking back over the past year or two, this for the Trump versus Biden battleground and general election polls is going to be for the start of the year all the way back to 2019. And for President Trump's job approval rating, that will of course go back to January 2017 when he first took office as president. So I'm basically just going to analyze these and see, what's changed in the recent months. And yeah, let's get into it. So the current lead is Biden is, he's been up above Trump for ages. Well, for ages, ever since polling data really began. And when it began, he was almost 10 points up, 9.5. And it's fluctuated, a bit, but as you can see, there's the rough movement with Trump going up, Biden goes up, Biden goes down, Trump goes down. However, there was a bit of space here created where Biden peaked, 10-point margin, and that was towards the end of June, mainly due to the Black Lives Matter movement and the poor handling of the coronavirus. Many, almost a majority of Americans would say, or a majority of Americans would say that at that point. And then, Trump's, the economy has, started to get back on track, and Trump has made up about 5 points of his deficit. And at the moment, there is a 7.4 margin between Biden, who is currently sitting at almost 50%, 49.7, and Trump, who is on 42.3. Now, this is basically the question, who would you vote between Biden and Trump? And there's a rough spread, some polls going up to a double-digit lead for Joe Biden, and some only saying a 4-point lead for Joe Biden. And Rasmussen is notorious for being one of the most favorable to the president. Whereas, you look at the Democratic CNBC poll, it's a lot more. I'd say the CNBC poll is actually one of the most accurate. As much as the Democrats, do work with that. Monmouth is quite heavily leaning towards the Democrats, and Rasmussen is quite heavily leaning towards the Republicans. So there's also going to be some bias there. But the overall average from RCP, the polling average is 7.4. Definitely positive for Trump. But of course, the DNC, which just concluded last night, and the RNC, which will be held in the coming week, definitely going to shift this probably towards Biden. He's probably going to get a bit of bump. I watched Joe Biden's speech last night, and overall, it's a pretty decent speech. 25 minutes long, and I don't think he did too bad. He had a few stumbles, but overall, it was a pretty decent speech. Going to be interesting to see what Trump comes out with for the RNC, which is going to be held next week. But I can see a bump for Biden just after in the coming days, really, when the next polls will be released, and a bump for Trump in about a week and a half when the RNC is all done and Trump has done his speeches as well as fellow Republicans. Now, I'm going to be moving on to the top battlegrounds. So that was the general country. Of course, Hillary Clinton eventually led in the general election in the country, 3 points. She won the popular vote by, but in these top battleground states, she lost in 2016. However, as you can see at the moment, Biden is leading in every single battleground state. If Biden, won almost any three of these ones, apart from Wisconsin, Arizona, and North Carolina, he would win the presidency. If he won any four of these, he would win. And at the moment, he is winning in all of them, apart from North Carolina, and that is only in a tilt margin for Trump. So at the moment, it's not looking too good, but compared to the national average, it is a lot smaller. It's gone from a likely Biden lead of 7.4 to a lean Biden lead of 4.2, and there was a point when it was about just under 2 points, 1.7 lead, and this was March. This was just before Trump started to lose quite a lot of support and Biden started to gain. But as you can see, ever since the end of June, really, Trump has made inroads into this deficit, going down from 6-point deficit to almost a 4-point deficit. So that's about 2 points gained for Trump. even though Biden really hasn't lost anything, Trump has just gained back a lot of the distance that he lost to Biden. To be fair, Biden has gone down a point or two since then, but all Biden really needs to do is win the three Rust Belt states. Like I said, they're important: Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. At the moment, he has all of them in a likely margin, and that is very, very positive for Biden. He could lose 5 points of his polling from now to November 3rd, and he would still win the presidential election because Donald Trump will not be winning any of the states that Hillary Clinton won. None of them are going to flip because at the moment it is so positive for the Joe Biden there and Democrats. It would be an absolute miracle for that to happen. And I think Trump could possibly take this down, but it's going to need a lot. He could win Arizona. He could win North Carolina. I think he is going to win North Carolina. He could even take down Florida, but Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin are so firmly in the Biden column at the moment. They're not even lean for Joe Biden. That is very, very negative for the president. And something that's not looked good for his entire term, it's not really going to mean much. Obama, for quite a lot of his administration, had, pretty abysmal approval ratings. Trump obviously has a lot worse than President Obama, former President Obama, but President Trump has definitely not been in the best of form. The only point in his entire presidency when he was approved of was on his inauguration and the following days after that. And by the turn of the next month, so basically 10 days, it was already about 4-point disapprove, and he has not reached that. The closest he got was just before the pandemic, and that was a net disapproval of 2 points. And that, of course, is ballooned back up to the rough average of what it was. And it was currently, Trump's gained quite a lot back, as I said, recently. So it's currently a RCP average of 10.5. So double digit in double digits of disapproval for Trump. However, if you've been looking at his Twitter recently, you're going to see this poll that he's definitely referred to quite a lot in the past day or two, and that is the Rasmussen poll, which has him approved by a majority of the country, 51 points. That is quite a stark difference to one such as the Politico poll, which does lean towards Democrats, as Rasmussen does lean towards Republicans, which has him at 39% approval. So take that what you will, but Trump, the president, would definitely be touting this 4-point lead for him. However, the RCP average is double-digit negative approval, disapproval for the president. So it's not looking too good for him there. But he's basically had, because he is the president, he had decent approval ratings before whilst he was, doing his 2016 campaign. But as soon as he gets responsibility, when he actually has a job to prove, then approval always goes down, because you can say all these things in the campaign, but when you actually get around to doing them, it's pretty hard to get everything that he needs. So I think job approval on the economy is also really important. And at the moment, it is a positive. It's positive, and there's not really much. Yeah, if you go down, it's always been very positive. You're barely seeing any negative ones for Trump. Even during the even during the crisis, there really wasn't much negativity for Trump. Yeah, so it's always been very good for him. The economy, that's basically the main thing that he's been riding. And you have the odd Gallup poll, CNBC, like I said, is always going to be a bit harsh on the president. But overall, there is a positive job approval for the economy, and quite a lot of the time, economy sells it. It's the economy stupid. So I think if Trump can keep this in a good positive thing, so hover around 4 points, 5 points, I think he has a very good chance of getting the vote in the Rust Belt states that really run him the election. But then again, he already won all the 3 Rust Belt states, less than 1% that gave him the presidency. So it's going to be a tough sell for those voters to not move over to Joe Biden. But as long as he can recover the economy, somewhat significantly between now and November, I think he has a decent chance of gaining those votes. And like I said, when we look back, it was likely margins. I can definitely see these going down. 100% they're going to be going into lean come the election date. and they could possibly go into the margin of error where polling data, if Trump does another good 2 to 3, final 2 to 3 weeks of the campaign, which he did in 2016, really helped him win the election. Those final coming weeks before election day. If he could do that again this year, I think he's going to have to definitely dig into those, because at the moment Biden will 100% win, but there's a lot to change for the next 2 months. So thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all again soon.